Doing pretty well. It's nice to have a short week after some busy weeks the past few weeks. So
Yeah,
good.
I feel that.
Yeah. How was your backpacking?
Oh, it was so good. I had such a great time. I really enjoyed it. It was a great shakedown hike I'm actually doing a 10-day backpacking trip starting this Saturday. So, I'm
Wow.
getting ready to leave for that. And yeah, it should be great, hopefully.
That's so cool.
I'm
Yeah.
jealous. So jealous.
Yeah.
I realized I bought an extra week of vacation and then hadn't used any vacation until like 2 weeks ago because I just had no reason to, right? Because we can't go anywhere. So I realized that I still had like 3 weeks of vacation. It was like the middle of August. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna take a long backpacking trip and we'll see where it goes. So yeah.
Next chapter chat, you're just gonna tell us all about it and we can live vicariously through you.
Yeah, sure. Sounds like a plan. I'll probably share pictures and stories on the hiking channel,
awesome.
on the global Slack if anyone wants to join. I think there's a hiking channel on there. I think I'm a part of it.
There is. There definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've shared pictures.
All right.
Before. Okay.
We're 8:05, so we probably should get started.
All right. Sounds good. Do you guys want to do an intro or do you want me to just go?
Either way, we normally just jump in.
Okay. No, that sounds great. I'm fine with that. You guys can't see the Zoom thing on the side, right? So you can see the whole. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So for our September chapter chat, we're going to talk about all the different programs that we offer for ESW, talk about what's going to be different about them this year with COVID and everything, and, hear more about what projects you guys have going on. Also on here, to join the ESW Global Slack, follow this link and log in with your preferred email. We have a channel for programs on the global Slack. It's called something weird, and let me look real quick so I can tell you the right name. ESW Global, it's called, we have a Build Day channel, which you're more than welcome to join. We have an HQ Grants channel, an HQ Programs channel. So all of these are great places to post about your projects, ask questions about your projects, talk about your projects amongst yourselves. So go join them. I had left in the chapter relations team slide. Do you want to go through that?
Yeah, no problem. This, just wanted to have this up here so that if any of you have any questions during the process, and of course you can reach out to anyone in the programs team, but your chapter relations coordinators will always be there for any questions you have about programs, but also about anything else going on this year. If you are in New England, I will be your primary point of contact for the moment. We're still looking for a new CRC, and Amelia will be for the South Atlantic region. So make sure that you know who your CRC is and that you know that you can contact them with anything, any questions you have, or just like for fun to share interesting things going on, or if you need someone to talk to.
All right. And now your programs team. So Sean Cook, our executive director, or acting executive director, still manages the programs team as a whole. So we have two different program directors in our team. Me, I'm our Build Day program director, and Alex Julius, who is our community RCDC, Resilient Community Design Challenge program director. And we have two programs coordinators who, if you do any of our programs, you will probably be interacting with quite a bit. Cyan is primarily working on community right now, and Tammy is working on Build Day. We are also, for project grants, it will be primarily Tammy and I who are handling that this fall as well. We just didn't really update our titles on here very well to show that. But so these are the people that you will be dealing with for any of the programs. Do you want to go through this, Sarah?
Yeah, no problem. So this is a continuation of a series, but the first of this school year of chapter chats. And our goal is to host these monthly calls to dive into different topics and share information, but also have them be a forum for discussion. And with that being said, please, if you have questions, speak up. If you have examples or things you want to share, these calls are best when people participate.
Most definitely. All right, so to give a brief overview of some of our different programs. So our most broad program is project grants. So for project grants, you can get funding for a new project that your chapter wants to do, a project that's already underway that you already have maybe partially completed that you just need more money to complete, or a project that's like in addition to a current project that you already have. It's a really, really broad scope for what you can use a project grant for. And project grants also has like the latest deadline. We'll go through the deadlines later. We have a slide about it, but yes, project grants is the most broad, which I love about it. It's really fun to see what chapters come up with and what chapters apply for, because it's everything from like, they want to build a greenhouse to like, we want to research this like carbon nanotubule material, or, you know, we want to build an electric skateboard. It's all different kinds of stuff, and it's fantastic. I just love the breadth of the scope of it. Build day.
That's a good time to also talk about it's project as a very loose term. It doesn't have to be a physical like build.
Yeah, that is a fantastic thing to talk about, Sarah. Yeah. So some teams use it for like research type projects, or like educational type projects. Yeah, so it agreed. Project is a loose term with that. If you're not sure if what you're doing can apply to it, like reach out, ask us, and we can talk about it. RCDC, Resilient Community Design Challenge, we refer to it as community most of the time, FYI too. This program is really interesting because it's a competition. So this year we are going to have a theme to it, and the theme is disease, basically disease resilience. So again, it's fairly broad. It's a national design competition where your team will be working with a local organization to forge a solution to some sort of a community problem in your area. This year, we're trying to give it a theme and making it like disease oriented, but it's still very broad. It can be, that's up to you to decide what you want to be, like what solution you want to be solving or what solution you want to be working on. But for community, we'll have all different teams working on different projects, different solutions, and then you will complete a set of deliverables, which is basically, documenting your project, documenting your research, documenting your design. And then we'll have like a winner at the end of the year, who then gets money to try and implement their project and money to come to the actual ESW Con the following year to like present their project. So it's really cool. Resiliency is so important for sustainability, right? So it's a great challenge. And then we have Build Day. I'm a little biased, it's my favorite. So Build Day is a great program where we get students out into the community. Yet again, that community relationship is so important. So you're solving a problem that actually exists in a community, not just making a solution for, a problem that no one needs to solve, right? So we have students partner with a community partner to solve a local problem, or, to implement a solution that will help members of the community be more sustainable. this project or build day, you have a year basically to plan, to design, to build, and then you have a 1-day build event where you come together with the community and build. Community is a 1-year design, so you're spending an entire year designing, and then the second year is like implementing your project. So build day, it's like you're designing for like, 5-6 months basically, and then building your project. So yes. Our other program is our mentorship program, which is actually kind of a partnership with professional relations. Professional relations really manages it, but we'll throw it in here because it's a great opportunity. As students and as chapters, you can connect with professional mentors who can help you with projects that you're doing, help you, with finding a job, help you with anything that you might need help with, right? So we like to use the mentorship program for teaming up, a group that is doing a project with a technical mentor of some kind that can help you, review your design, make sure it's robust, do all that kind of stuff. But you can also apply just as a person to the mentorship program and get matched with a professional mentor. And then the refer chapter program is also on here. You can refer a chapter and get a discount on dues. So that's a very general overview of some of our programs. And if anyone has questions, please feel more than free to share them or ask them later. So just quick timelines. Oh, sorry, that's kind of grainy when it's on the big screen. For building community, we're running them on the same timeline. So we're having a Q&A session in September. Applications are supposed to be due September 30th, but with the schedules of all the schools, if you need an extension on that, please just reach out. We're very open to extending that, especially because we know that some of the projects are slightly more ambiguous this year or harder to plan because they're not traditional projects like chapters are used to doing. So if you have an idea, reach out to us, work with us on developing it. And if your application isn't totally done or ready by the 30th, that's completely fine. We can work together and figure that out. That's not a big deal, especially if we know you're intending to apply and working on an application with us or something. That would be a-okay. We're hoping to issue acceptances by October 11th. And also, the applications, if you have an idea and it's not that fleshed out, you can still apply. That's a-okay. We can talk about it more, accept you, and then, work on developing the rest of your plan, within the confines of the projects or programs, right? And then for project grants, the timeline's a little bit more spread out just because, as I said, you can be applying with a completely new program or with a completely new project, or you can be applying with a project that you've already started, basically. So for new projects, the deadline to apply is October 20th. Oh, I didn't updates. It's 2020, not 2019, guys. So it's still October 20th, though. For that, all you need, again, is a 1-page document, a statement of intent. If you submit it earlier, that's fantastic because then we can talk to you about it more, get it more fleshed out earlier, and, that's great. But also, you have until October 20th, right? In October to November, we'll be having a one-on-one meeting interview with the project leader and the project team, just to learn more about your project, just talk about it more. And then you do not need to apply with your official proposal with a more concrete plan and all that kind of stuff until December 15th. So, you have quite a bit of time to think about your project grant, to come up with, projects that your club wants to do or your chapter wants to do, and then apply. We'll be letting you know still in January what ones are accepted, what funding you'll be getting, all of that stuff. Another good thing to mention that I actually don't think was on here yet is also the amounts of funding. So for build day, you can get up to $2,000 to do your project. For project grants, grants are up to $1,000. And then for community, you will get a prize. The exact amount of that, I'm not sure that we've disclosed for this year or determined for this year yet. But it normally includes like funding to go to the conference. And all of that's obviously also kind of up in the air depending on the conference and everything that happens. But that is how that works. So have any of you participated in ESW program before? And if you have, what were your experiences?
I didn't personally attend it, but I know RIT did a build day last year, and it went really well so far as I could see. It did end up becoming a 2-day event instead of a 1-day, I think. But overall, it was a really good experience.
It was mostly done in 1 day. They had some finishing touches to make on the next days, but that's completely acceptable. It was a pretty great experience. I was there for that one. I enjoyed it quite a lot. All right. Oop, that's not what I wanted. So the other sort of thing that we've been talking about at HQ2 is kind of like where everyone's at with COVID. So like all of you who are here, like, are you on campus this fall? Or are you all remote? And do your schools, have you discussed like the spring semester at all yet?
So I'm from Northwestern. We literally just got like turned into remote like a week ago. So
Gotcha.
Same thing for MSU. It's all remote, and I guess I don't want to get too, guessy, but I'm pretty sure it's looking so far spring semester's probably going to be remote as well.
MSU, like Michigan?
Yeah.
So MSU, you guys were doing a build day last year, and then it got canceled because of COVID last year. So
What a mess.
yeah, I know, right? So yeah, exactly. But the thing is that while you're still remote, you can still focus on like researching CAD, making small prototypes at home. So, we can still plan as if we're going to be in person in the spring, or plan as in, then you can implement the projects when you're all able to get back together again and actually be on campus, right? And you can still learn a lot from the research and design and prototyping stages. So it'll still be hopefully a great experience for you guys. And eventually you'll be able to implement it on campus or in your community, in your school community. Another idea is, as like Sarah had said, like for project grants, if you use your grant to do something which is more outreach oriented, that would be totally acceptable. Doing some sort of sustainability related outreach that you could do virtually, that you could do, members could do in their own communities in some way. That would also be totally acceptable if you're, interested in doing something like that. You can also, if you guys are able to be on campus, you can do a project in shifts, right? Have, fewer people working on it at the same time, split up responsibilities more, make it more of a modular project so that you can like split up into, the irrigation team and the, table building team, that kind of thing, right? So then you're not having as much contact with each other.
Somebody also mentioned doing a project where everyone is able to like build a piece of it and then have those pieces come together relatively easy, so that fewer people like put the final thing together, but that everyone has played a part.
Yeah, exactly. That's also a fantastic idea. Another
There's
idea
lots of
that,
room for creativity.
yeah, exactly, right? Another idea is also to design some sort of a project that each of you could design together, but then you could each build like in your own community somehow. Like wherever your community is right now, right? Like if you're at home, if you guys are, you know, some of you are at school, whatever that case is, you know, design something that is easy enough to build that you can make many of them across the country or something too. That would also be a really cool idea that we would love. One of the things that someone brought up in one of the meetings was trying to make a robot that cleans up pollution in waterways, because most communities have like a waterway. So if you could make some sort of a device that did that, you know, you could all make one and all have one in your own community, right? So something that's just something to get the ball rolling, right? But another question is, so this semester, I don't know how many of you have talked about like what projects your club wants to do this semester. And I don't know if any of them fit into things that you want to apply for funding for or apply for support from ESWHQ for. But like, what do you need this semester? And is it the same as other semesters? Is it different? What can we do to help you, basically?
I think,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think at least from my perspective, I need ideas on how to get engagement when we are all virtual. Our IT is still operating on campus, but 90% of our operations are virtual, and interaction has gone down a lot. It seems like people are kind of just taking a semester off from ESW, and I'm not sure how to like keep us going.
Yeah, that's basically what I was gonna say too. Like ideas for, like I'm at Brown and we're mostly we're all remote for now, and with the potential for some things to be in person. But I think we should have to count on people not being on campus, and like so we can't work on our project that we're halfway through. And so just thinking of like what sort of activities could we even do at meetings just to keep people engaged, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
So I go to Cornell, and we are doing like a hybrid program. So after I think like October or something, if we're supposed to start working in pods, so some people are allowed to go into the lab space and actually build stuff, but we moved most of our projects online. For interaction, I'm actually the VP of events at our chapter, and I'm just basically trying to just create more events so that more people get involved. We also did like a survey towards the beginning of the year, just asking people like how into ESW are you going to be, so that we can gauge you know, interest of what like people are actually going to commit to. We're also focusing a lot of energy right now on recruitment, because we're not allowed to recruit, or we're not allowed to have freshmen join, we're allowed to have upperclassmen join. So we're hoping that like new people will bring new excitement as well. Yeah.
So I'm a project manager at Northwestern, and I don't necessarily know if this would be able to be applied to every project, but we're working on a project to make an aquaponics system in our office. And because of this remote format, we kind of switch gear and put most of our emphasis on software and the electronics design portion. So we're hoping to like ship smaller electronic parts like sensors and like relays and stuff to our members, and have them like assemble them at home and then ship them to like one person and put it together, like just the motherboard. So I guess that's one idea, if whatever it is you're making actually uses electronics.
Oh, also I wanted to add that we started a CAD program because a lot of people in our chapter said that they were very interested in CAD and just like wanted to learn how to CAD, like intro stuff, as well as like very, very complex stuff. So that can help with interest as well. And we also turned a bunch of our projects into like online initiatives. So I had to switch my project from a physical project to an online project. And I'm doing STEM outreach with a local high school. Yeah. So that might help with engagement.
Yep. From ESW HQ level, we've talked about this a few times, knowing that this is something that students have been talking about. And we had a brainstorming session a little bit at the July chapter chat. And it seems like the general focus is either in starting new projects to focus more on the research and the prototyping and things that can happen online for those projects, and just having that be a bigger part of the project, which hopefully will lead to better projects once they're able to be built. But yeah, focusing on research and like CAD, for example, prototypes, and then switching more of the work from project work to activism and outreach and just like general like learning, which can take multiple forms. There's definitely still school outreach to be done. Teachers, especially now, you know, I'm sure will welcome, you know, video presentations or things like that, or drawing up activities for the students to be able to do in their own homes with like materials that they have. But also doing things like starting a movie night or a book club where, you know, everyone can watch like a sustainability focused movie and then come together and talk about it, or having kind of more like sustainability challenges where, you know, they're initiatives that everyone is doing on their own, but then can talk about together, or share, you know, their experiences. I think it's definitely, you know, a shift from the way a lot of chapters like have operated, which is very project focused, which can be a little bit of a bummer because projects are a lot of fun. But I think it's just in broadening our idea of what a project looks like, and maybe saying projects and initiatives, but just knowing that people want to stay engaged, but don't necessarily, engagement is going to look different. And I think it's about, you know, being flexible. And also I like the idea of, I think Adele said, like, reaching out to your members and seeing like what they'd prefer ESW to look like this year, and getting that feedback.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add too, and I'll turn on my camera and not be that person, but I think there are a lot of ways that you can make it fun in a remote environment. Like if you're building something together in the same lab, in shifts or in pods, can you leave a piece of paper and write a story one sentence at a time? How do you build that community remotely and sequentially? There are a lot of different ways you can play with that idea. So just kind of think about that.
Yeah, and I think all the ideas you guys had were really, really great, and hopefully, you know, they helped other chapters come up with things that you can try. But yeah, I mean, as far as like programs are related, we're really asking that, you know, a lot of the upfront work that we have to do right now is design oriented, right? So if you're going to apply for a program, I know it's harder to do that design work remotely in some ways, but you know, you can still do it and, you know, find ways to work together for it. Still have meetings remotely, still, you know, be able to work on some of the things together that you would in person. It's just slightly harder, but, and then we'll work with you to obviously figure out, you know, maybe the build day isn't going to happen in the spring when it normally would, but maybe we can do it next fall. And we can be flexible with that, and we can figure it out as we go. It might honestly be a blessing because maybe then you've got more time to design it, and we can have, as Sarah said, like even bigger and better projects when we can finally all get back together and actually implement them, right? So, you know, I think kind of the message is we all need to be flexible. We all need to, you know, think outside the box, and we're here to support you while you do that, right?
This would also be a good topic to take to Slack and just to ask and see what everyone else is thinking about and is working on.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's a great idea. There's also a lot of resources online. So like chapter resources on the ESW global site, there's member resources for like the chapter leader guide to running a chapter remotely, useful engineering and software links, etc. In ESW programs, we have the ESW programs page, which links to all of the different programs to get more information about those. We recently launched the ESW projects database, so you can go see projects that other chapters have done in the past on this database, and they have all kinds of information posted about their projects on there. So that is great.
And also is something that you should be updating and adding new projects and initiatives to as you go.
Yes, fantastic point, Sarah. And then we also have the ESW Bio Challenge to log natural things that you see and compete against, other chapters, or ESW HQ to log the most things. So what other questions or ideas do you guys have?
I want to circle back to the idea of like spending more time in designing CAD. So that's kind of what my team has been doing for, I want to say, like throughout the entirety of spring and summer. And because of COVID, we're never actually able to build or start building like our project. So I was wondering, if we were to apply for the project grant, would we be considered as a new project or an existing project?
We'll probably have to talk about that more in depth to know like what your project is, like where you're actually at in the project. I would say you could probably apply as an existing project, and that would be fine. I mean, no matter what, you can submit your one pager and then we can talk about it more, or just send me an email and we can set up more time to talk about it, I guess. So if the project is, I think what you're saying is that the project is like designed, but you haven't started building like anything at this point?
Yeah, so our project is designed and we haven't been able to build like the actual system itself.
All right. Yeah, then I would say probably just apply as a new project. That would be great.
And follow-up question to that, with like the project grants, so I'm not really sure if the rest of the quarters from my school is going to be in person or not. If we apply for the project grant and let's say something happened and we all got turned to remote and we couldn't build our project this year, then what happens to the funding? Like, do we give it back and reapply for next year, or is there a way to kind of postpone that award?
Yeah, so we would probably just end up waiting to see. So you guys are on campus now?
Our juniors and seniors are, but freshmen and sophomore are not. And in the winter, theoretically, because we're on the quarter system, in the winter, theoretically, we will all go back, but.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's just going to end up being kind of like on a case-by-case basis as everything goes. But I mean, if you're awarded the project grant, we obviously want to give it to you. So we might just have to wait until you're back on campus and you can actually build it. I guess we haven't really talked about that for funding wise, because most of them are like build day where, if you're not on campus, we will have to think about that. If you have to be on campus to build it, I guess when we give you the funding. But if you apply and you're awarded the funding, we'll work with you to get you the funding when you need it. I don't think, you know what I mean? You won't lose the funding, is what I mean.
Okay, so we'll get like kind of our deadline would get pushed back. Because I think I saw like a deadline for like a final report or something.
Oh, yeah, if you're not on campus, we're obviously not going to be holding you to that. Yeah, no, we're flexible in that. Again, like, we obviously understand it's not, you know what I mean? It's not your fault. That's A-okay. Yeah, don't stress out about that.
Awesome, thanks.
Interesting idea. I don't know how viable this is, and it probably depends on the project and where people are located, but it could be interesting if you use the funding to either get like a small 3D printer or like the materials for people to make their own like smaller 3D printers, and then everyone could print some of the pieces or you could like have one person print them and like send them to, you know, kind of like a traveling project. You would have to make sure it was sturdy or something like that. But with the idea of like CADing and 3D printing, I feel like that opens a lot of, you know, you don't necessarily need all of the lab equipment that you might for some other projects. Or it could be enough for like a first prototype to test it before you add, you know, wood and metal back into it.
Yeah, most definitely. Or prototyping with things in your home too. If you can.
Yes. If you have extra hangers, like those wire metal ones, like those can be bent into like almost any shape.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Does anyone have any other ideas about how to keep their chapters engaged in potentially working on projects too, virtually? Or, you know, in person in the weird world that we live in?
Take cute walks together. That's a tactic I'm using for some of my other organizations, just to keep people interested and like not feel too lonely and sad.
That's definitely a good one. Making sure that, you know, in the world where every activity and every social gathering we do is online, to like find those times to do things offline. That also works well for like picnics if you are close to people as well.
I love a good picnic. This has been a great time to convince people to go have picnics with you because, you know, it's one of the only activities we can do right now.
One thing that we've kind of talked about a little bit as NEA board is that for our general meetings, we typically have like a structured like activity that goes on, but since our like interaction in general meetings has been dropping, we're talking about having a less structured like we bring up a topic and then just have like a discussion as a group, and that's kind of, it's nice because it's not reliant on the number of people you have, and it kind of gives you a chance to interact more as a group and kind of a casual basis.
For those of you who are kind of working entirely remotely, how are you dealing with the challenges with time zones? Like, do you guys have any like international students or like other people on your team that are in drastically different time zones? Like, how do you, I guess, prevent them from dropping out?
So for us, it's not completely remote, but we're having separate like G-body meetings. So we had like a when to meet for everyone really, and then we just saw which times worked best for like the people in Ithaca and which times worked best for the people who are not in Ithaca. And then we just have two G-bodies per week that will relay information and keep people like interested.
Are you recording, or has anyone like thought about recording meetings so that like if somebody can't attend, it's easier for them to like keep up with what's going on? Or is it easier just to like send like an email or a Slack update afterwards?
We've been, I mean, before COVID, we were live streaming all of our meetings on YouTube in case someone couldn't make it. And now we've just been recording our Zoom meetings and then uploading those to YouTube. So
That's very cool. Good to know.
Yeah, like we kind of thought about, so I tried recording the meetings, but I don't know if this is just like our group, but not a lot of people actually watch those like 1 hour long Zoom meeting recordings. Like, are there any, I don't know, I guess programs or tools that you use to kind of condense that information? Or do you kind of just have somebody take minutes every time and like share those?
We have something beforehand. I mean, we have our e-board meeting minutes. We have a list of things. We actually switched over. We were doing a newsletter every week, and like people were not opening those emails, so we figured, okay, let's just move everything to Slack. So we have all of our communications on our Slack channel now. So we already have our like list of things to put in Slack. So probably
It's not.
before.
Oh, it's connecting. I don't know.
What? But yeah, so we usually send our communication before the general meeting, and we kind of review the stuff in the general meeting. So they're really kind of getting that information twice. So if they miss it, they have somewhere to go look and like to get links and things.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Well, if nobody has any further questions, I think we can end our discussion a little early this evening. That being said, if anything comes up, if you have questions, if you have ideas, you can always reach out to Zoe and Alex on the programs team. You can reach out to your CRCs. You can post in Slack. We will respond in any of those formats. And you know, I think this is one of those things where there's definitely a lot to be done, but it'll take a little extra brainstorming time to get there. So, you know, keep having those discussions both with your chapters and also with each other. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I hope the beginning of your semesters are all going as well as possible.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And again, reach out with questions, like Sarah said.
Oh, one more thing, Zoe.
Yes.
We should probably say applications are live on the website,
Yes.
and like that information is out there.
Yep.
It should be up. So if you are looking for applications, they are on the programs page of the ESW Global website.
Yep. And always reach out if you have any questions about that too.